So at this moment we have the voice range profile or the vocal performance range within our screen right here. And what we'd be interested in right now is to see how my speaking voice or your client's speaking voice relates to this profile. So for that, we need your client to speak. Now, in this example, I'll be using the rainbow passage, which is a text that is phonetically balanced, but you could use also maybe counting from 20 to 30 or other speech tasks. Now for this example, let us go to the speech range profile and use these green recording buttons at the left right here. Clicking normal is going to make a recording of the normal speaking voice. So that means a normal loudness. I'm going to get the rainbow passage right here and let me record that for you real quick. So, when the sunlight strikes raindrops in the air, they act as a prism and form a rainbow. The rainbow is a division of white light into many beautiful colors. These take the shape of a long round arch with its path high above and its two ends apparently beyond the horizon. There is, according to legend, a boiling pot of gold at one end. And we click the stop button to stop recording, and when the analysis is done, it is going to show us where our speaking voice was in this example. So what we see here is my voice took on this much space in the example of the rainbow passage, with the lowest and the highest frequency, with the range in octaves and semitones, and also with the speaking voice median, which is 114 Hertz. You could say that's my speaking pitch, and 70.9 decibels. Now, let us use the soft button to, now I'm going to use the counting way of recording. Clicking soft, counting from 20 to 30. And the instruction for your client here is to speak as soft as you can without whispering. For example, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. So let's say we've recorded our soft speaking voice. Normally, with most voices, you would see that the soft speaking voice would need to be softer than the normal one, of course. And it could be a little bit lower, so 1 or 2 semitones lower on the scale than a normal speaking voice. Now, at last, let us record the loud speaking voice. I'm going to use counting again. Let's see how that goes. 20, 21, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. Now, right here, we see that my loud speaking voice has gone above the threshold of 80 decibels. We would gladly see most of our clients reach at least 80 decibels because that is what you would need, especially in a speaking profession. And you see that the whole diagram is kind of shifted upwards, like in a diagonal line. This line should be quite steep. When this whole diagram falls quite flat, that would mean that our client isn't really using the best voice support or breath support, or our client is not able to produce that much loudness. Now, when we would click vocal performance range to put that on, we would see that these profiles kind of overlap. Now, the most important thing here is to see that the whole speaking voice diagram, the whole speech range profile, falls within the vocal performance range. That would be the best situation. Because what we sometimes see when people don't use their voice correctly is that the speech range profile overlaps a lot outside of the vocal performance range. And what that means is our client is doing something in their habitual speaking pattern with their voice that they're not able to reproduce when you ask them. So that's a sign of not that much vocal efficiency. Now we also want to see that the loud speaking voice should be quite loud. So it's okay if it's a little bit higher, but it should be quite loud. Now, let me get my note in here. When you go in Cantaris to the left side of the screen to the key measurement side, you see the speaking voice metrics right here. I'm going to teach you a little bit of a trick. Right-clicking the metrics and clicking on copy gives you a text copy that you can paste somewhere, maybe in your notes. And it's going to give you the speaking voice medians, so 114 Hertz for my normal speaking voice. You can also see the loudness for these recordings. We didn't record a shout recording, but you could do that if you'd like, especially if your client has a profession in which they shout a lot. And you also see an interdependency note right here, which is 15.9 decibels per octave. This metric is best read when you've erased outliers. So let me show you a little bit about that. When we go to our speech range profile and we click options and eraser, we can erase these little outliers that don't connect to the main field. So like this, and then set the eraser off. This is going to give us a little bit of a cleaner representation. Now when we copy this and look at our interdependency, we see that it's 18.6 decibels, so this is more reliable. What this says is how steep the line of the speech range profile is. We would ideally see with most of our clients that it would be between 20 and 30 decibels per octave, so this is a little bit low. One thing is that English is not my first language, so that could be the case why my voice may go a little bit softer or a little bit louder in my native language. Now, the more someone's profession fundaments on going loud, so speaking in loud environments or speaking in a field or giving sports instructions in a field, the higher you want this number to be, because you'd want them to use their voice so efficiently and to use so much loudness in a healthy way while staying maybe a little bit low in pitch and not raising their pitch too much. So this is a measure you could use for that. All right, so this is how you record the speech range profile. Of course, there are some other features. You could look at the quality of the voice in these recordings. It is measured by recording, and you could click recordings and get, for example, a normal speaking voice recording. Click on the voice report to get a report about the fundamental frequency and the intensity level and the voice quality, but we'll make a whole new video about that. So this is how you record that and get a total voice range profile for your client.